Good afternoon. Let's do a little quick intro on the trial work period, TWP, and what that means. We have some videos that explain some details that are really important, but if you don't know exactly where it comes into play potentially for you in your Social Security disability claim, they may not help you so much. So let's put it into perspective. Okay, so the SSA encourages people who think they are able to work to give it a try. The goal is, of course, if we can all work full time and sustain ourselves. But when we have disabilities and we can't do what we've been doing, and we're not sure we can do anything else full time, we file for Social Security disability, and we're afraid oftentimes to work at all, because it certainly to work full time, because we get the impression it's going to be a bar to prevailing on Social Security disability. It's not entirely true, although there's so many intermingling facts and laws to consider. So the trial work period is an animal under the Social Security law that says one who is receiving Social Security disability can try to go back to work full time, and they'll be protected from losing their benefits based on the fact that they're working to that extent for 9 months. Now, the 9 months are not necessarily consecutive. So it's not like you start one day and go for 9 months necessarily, and then fall out of your trial work period. The first month you earn over the trial work period amount, which in 2023 is $1,050, you trigger the start of your TWP, your trial work period. And that could last years, or it could last 9 months. It depends. It's 9 distinct months of earning over that trial work period amount. That amount will change. So while it's $1,050 by that I mean $1,050 in 2023, it will likely be higher in later years. So you always have to know what your trial work period amount is if it's a concern to you. Now, notice that the trial work period amount is significantly lower than SGA, Substantial Gainful Activity amount. That is a very important number also. But in terms of trial work period, you can earn, when you enter your trial work period because you're trying to earn, you have 9 protected months. And again, they could be non-consecutive. And as soon as you hit the 9th one, even if there's months in between where you didn't work a trial work period month, you will be out of your trial work period, and therefore the protections afforded you under it. So, and the protections afforded to you under it kind of transfer into something called extended period of eligibility. And I have a video on that. I don't know if it's been published yet, but we'll get it up there. So the trial work period, again, is when you're involved in the Social Security disability claim system, and I'm going to get into that detail because it's pretty important, and you're trying to work, you want to look at that number. I would add that if you never ever in your life going forward while involved with the Social Security Administration and disability, if you never exceed SGA in a given year, the trial work period won't really matter then, even if it's expired. But the risk of even once going over SGA, and at a time when you no longer have protections at all, even under the EPE, extended period of eligibility, that's the critical part. So if you can save your TWP, it's important, but it's not going to be important for everybody who's working part-time. So I just want to make that clear. So the important thing to know about the trial work period, and I have another video on this, is that while you're in it, they can't boot you off for that work you're doing. They can do that after you fall out of the trial work period, though. So this is why it's important to know when it starts and when it ends. And as we learned from the other video, your trial work period can technically start at any time after you've applied, so long as it's after the date you were found disabled. So combine those two and take the later of the two. But what that means is after you've applied, and while you are waiting potentially months or years for a decision, you get the favorable decision, but you've been working as much as you can, but under SGA for many, many months, maybe 2 years, and you've exceeded your TWP amount because it's less than SGA and you didn't realize, Now you have expired your trial work period potentially before you even got your award. So now you have your award and you're still working under SGA potentially, but you're no longer, now you're in your, hopefully in your extended period of eligibility that lasts for 3 years under the reentitlement program. But for any month you do flip accidentally into SGA, now that your trial work period is over, you will not be due those benefits that you received for that month, and you're going to owe them back, and you could have a big overpayment problem on your hands. And of course, if your extended period of eligibility or your reentitlement period, and that's also in a different video, has expired, which is about 3 years later, generally, the first month you engage in SGA, however accidentally, it could be you picked up somebody's shift and you didn't realize, your disability is over. So knowing your trial work period now, while, once you've applied for sure, if you think that's going to be something that's going to be important to you, to have that 9 separate months of being able to go out there and make $10,000 because you're really going to try to see if this job works for you, you're going to wish you had it. You don't get another one. At least not for a long time and under certain circumstances. So trial work period, really important, but it's never going to apply to the months before you applied. So if you're playing around working part-time and going over, don't worry about it for the months before you apply. But once you apply, that's when the earliest date could possibly be for the months that it would apply to. And then it could even be much later, depending on when your onset is. If they don't find that you're disabled for a year after you applied, because your medical evidence wasn't very clear and strong until then those months won't matter either. It's after you applied and after they've determined what date you were disabled. Okay? The date you're disabled, not the date they determine you're disabled. But of course, you won't know the date you're disabled until they tell it to you. So that's why I say after you apply, watch your numbers, keep track of TWP. If you decide it's not going to matter because you're never going to go for SGA, that's fine too. But if you don't know, this could be very true in a tip generating job, hairdressers, service people, people who provide services and get tips. Sometimes you get that generous tip from somebody and it tips them over. So you got to really pay attention. Okay, that's trial work period. It's there to protect you. And if you lose it inadvertently, it's a shame because you didn't know what it was or when it applied. All right, take care now. Bye.